Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash. So a few days ago, yeah, something like that, a few days ago, whenever it was, we went over my definitive rankings for The Flash Season 1's episodes. All 23 episodes ranked from worst to best, all worst. I don't want to say, worst has obviously like a negative connotation around it, but, from least or lowest ranked to highest ranked, or the best, and that's in regards to their overall rankings by users on IMDb, but not based off the overall rating that the site gives them, as that can be altered by trollish votes with 1s and 2s out of 10s and stuff like that, which can sort of skew things a bit differently. And while there wasn't any, I'd say, major surprises in the top 3, they were sort of what you would expect. There were some other parts of the list that did contain some surprises that did differ from what the overall ranking that IMDb gives them, sort of lists, ranks them or lists them. And in today's video, we are doing Season 2. It seems pretty, logical. You'd go to Season 2 after doing Season 1. Now, I did get some feedback from you guys, which I do appreciate, which was to not include all the numbers while doing the rankings. They'll be in this video, but later in the video. I guess I felt like people were watching A Beautiful Mind or something when I kept reading out those numbers and minds were melting. My mind was melting when I was reading them out. Thought there was something weird going on, so I think I've structured it a bit differently in this video that works a bit better. So yeah, I will include the numbers that explain why certain episodes are ranked where they are in the video, but later on, if you do want to go watch the Season 1 video, feel free to do that as well. It'll be linked in the description. And we will also compare our rankings here to the overall IMDb rankings as well. And there is a pretty big surprise there. At least I was surprised. But yeah, throughout the video, be sure to let me know in the comments section down below your general thoughts on this, and also maybe leave what your top 3 episodes of Season 2 are. Maybe if you want to rank them 1 to 3, or maybe do top 10, whatever it is, let me know in the comment section down below those potentially. But just your overall thoughts, and if you think there's any surprises here, because I think there's one that's pretty surprising, but there might be a few where you're like, hey, that's my favorite episode, and it might be like 11th or something. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in there. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, want to show your support, everything like that, drop a like on the video. It takes 2 seconds. So yeah, as we did with the Season 1 video, it makes sense that when you're going from, I guess, quote unquote worst to best, that you'd start in 23rd place. So at number 23 is episode 19, which is Back to Normal. Now, I'm not going to lie, I haven't rewatched Season 2 in quite a while, so my memory on a lot of the non-major episodes, if you want to put it, is pretty weak at this current point. Obviously, maybe a rewatch is in store. That's for us to wait and see over the near future. The only thing I think that is in the Back to Normal is that this is the episode that first has Barry with no powers, I think. I think I might be right in that, but I might be wrong. But yeah, that's the worst episode according to the rankings in this list. At number 22, we have episode 12, which is Fast Lane. At number 21, we have episode 16, Trajectory, which I actually remember being one of the, I think, weaker episodes of this season. So it sort of makes sense it would be there. But it also opened the door to this season as well. So maybe it isn't as weak as I think it was. But once again, going off a vague memory. At number 20, we have episode 7, Guerrilla Warfare, another Gorilla Grodd episode, which once again, you'd think these episodes would be high, but apparently not. At number 19, we have episode 10, which is Potential Energy, which from memory is the Turtle episode. I don't remember that being that amazing, so maybe it makes sense it's lower ranked. At number 19, we have episode 3, which is Family of Rogues, which I do remember is the episode where we have Captain Cold's dad showing up, and it's like them teaming up with the Flash, and then Captain Cold's dad sort of backstabbing him. So, yep. Number 17 is episode 4, The Fury of Firestorm, which is when we got them trying to... They sort of set up Legend of Tomorrow, I think, within this episode a bit with the new Firestorm. And here's probably, I guess, a surprise, at least in my opinion, because I just remember this episode being, I think, really liked. And at number 16 is episode 18, Versus Zoom. So this really surprised me when it's here. But hold on, there is a bigger surprise when it comes to this episode later on. So we'll talk about this episode later in the video because there's an even bigger surprise associated with it, which sort of blew my socks off. Do people use that term anymore? Blew my socks off? Anyway, it did something in that regard, at least. At number 15 is episode 1, the season premiere, The Man Who Saved Central City. And to be honest, this isn't too much of a surprise. I actually thought it might be lower because I think this is regarded as one of the worst season premieres. Just a lot of people didn't like it for what it was for the most part. So I'm not too surprised it's not too high on the list. At number 14 is episode 15, King Shark, which was the first proper episode with King Shark. We did get that reveal at the end of one episode early in the season with him picking up Barry in front of Patty Spivot. But yeah, this is his full-on episode, which I remember it being really cool, but not amazing. So episode, maybe it being a number 14 is pretty suitable. At number 13, we have the season 2 mid-season finale, which is episode 9, Running to Stand Still, which was like the one with like the Christmas episode with Trickster and Weather Wizard and stuff. At number 12, we have episode 2, Flash of Two Worlds, where we got like the cool Jay Garrick teaching Barry sort of thing. Yeah, sort of suited to be around this point. At number 11, we have episode 5, The Darkness and the Light, which is when we had like the Earth 2 Dr. Light come over to, or Earth 2 Linda Park be Dr. Light and come over to Earth 1. At number 10, we have episode 11, The Reverse Flash Returns, which I think this was a pretty damn good episode. So I maybe am surprised it's not a bit higher, but the next choice is the one where you're like, hold on, how is that not higher? And that is when we go to number 9, which is episode 21, The Runaway Dinosaur. Now, the reason this is surprising is that if you went to, I think, a good amount of people and said, hey, list your 5 top Flash episodes of all time, I think a lot of people, and that's like over the entire show from season 1 through to season 9, I think a lot of people have The Runaway Dinosaur in that top 5, or at least in their top 10. And in this list, it's just breaking into the top 10 of just season 2. So I was very surprised based off these ratings that The Runaway Dinosaur is only in 9th position. So that was my first like major surprise, though Versus Zoom was very surprising as well, but we'll talk about Versus Zoom later, as I said before. But just at this point, I was very surprised to see The Runaway Dinosaur just in this position here. And number 8 is the episode that precedes The Runaway Dinosaur, and that's episode 20, Rupture, which, you know, it has like Cisco's doppelganger, or Cisco's brother's doppelganger is like a threat in this episode. But this is the episode where Barry tries to give himself speed again, which sets up the Runaway Dinosaur because he gets blown up. But also where Zoom does the thing in Jitters and kills all the cops. So I can see why a lot of people would rank this episode a bit higher based off those couple of scenes. At number 7, we have episode 22, Invincible, which is the second last episode, which was the episode that featured Black Siren coming in, or the Earth 2 Laurel Lance, but also featured like Zoom killing Henry Allen and all the build up for the finale. So yeah, pretty crazy episode, this one. At number 6, we have episode 17, Flashback, which was our first like real cool time travel thing where we spent most of the episode in a different time period. So this is when Barry travels back to like the middle of season 1 and versus Pied Piper and works with his season 1 self, and you get like the Wellsabard, Harrison Wells again. So a lot of fun this episode. So I'm not surprised this is, in the top 6. At number 5, we actually have episode 8, which is a crossover episode, Legends of Today. I can't remember I think this was the first episode this was the second episode, because I think the first episode in the crossover was Legends of Yesterday. So this was the second one. And I think this might have been the one where Barry time travels. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, this was a very popular episode back in the day, so I'm not surprised it's this high. Maybe I'm a bit surprised it's like this high, but I'm not surprised it's at the very least high in the list. At number 4, just missing the top 3, is episode 14, Escape from Earth 2, might I say, not episode 2, Escape from Earth 2. Of course, this being the second part in the Earth 2 thing, and yeah, I'm not surprised it doesn't beat Welcome to Earth 2, because I think Welcome to Earth 2 is the better of the 2 episodes, but this is still a really, really good episode. But here we go. We are entering the top 3 rated episodes based off my, algorithm, if you want to put it, for The Flash Season 2. And we start at number 3, episode 23, the Season 2 finale, The Race of His Life. Now, I am sort of surprised this is this high, because I remember people had issues with the finale, but then again, finales sometimes tend to skew a bit higher with their ratings overall, because they have like a big cliffhanger, and obviously the big cliffhanger for season 2 or the season 2 finale is Barry causing Flashpoint. So you can understand why things would skew a bit higher, but people had issues with like Zoom's plan and how they wrapped up the season as a whole. I don't have that many issues with it. It doesn't bring it down heaps of points, but I thought it might have been enough to not put it this high. But it was still strong enough of an episode for most people for them to rate it this high. So yeah, it's number 3. And at number 2, not number 1, just missing out, but in second place, runner-up, is episode 13, Welcome to Earth 2. So the first part in the Earth 2 two-parter. This is a better episode than Escape from Earth 2, not by a lot, but I think it's more fun. You get to that's like you first exploring Earth 2 and everything like that. So yeah, I think it's like one of the like borderline like perfect episodes that The Flash did. So I'm not surprised it's this high. And if you have been keeping track, you should be able to easily tell what number 1 for the ratings here for season 2 of The Flash is. And that's a episode early-ish into the season, and one of the most replayed thing in regards to one, like a pretty long scene that happens in the episode, and that is episode 6, Enter Zoom. Definitely has one of the coolest entrances, most threatening entrances for a villain in pretty much any show or movie. And yeah, Zoom definitely stakes his claim when it comes to this episode. And it's very rewatchable, this episode, just on its own. So yeah, I am not surprised at all that it is number 1. And I think it's actually number 1 by a fairly decent margin. But that is the countdown over. So now I will show you the rankings with the numbers. So it has the percentage of votes with the highest ranking number that was voted for. So for example, you can see with episode 6, Enter Zoom, 69.5% of its votes were a 10 out of 10. Now, as you can see, for the majority, or vast majority here, outside of one, which is the last spot, they have 10 out of 10s, but the last place, which is episode 19, aka Back to Normal, was 8 out of 10 for most votes, which was 26.4% of its votes, but its second choice for most votes wasn't actually 10 out of 10. I think all the other ones were 10 out of 10s for their second choice if they weren't, like their second choice was like an 8 or something, like they didn't go, it was either 8 or 10s pretty much with the two ratings. But episode 19 had 8 out of 10 for most of its votes, but its second highest, only just shy, was, I think it was like 24 or 25% or something like that. It was 24.5%. I just quickly looked at my notes. It was 7 out of 10. So, 26 for 8 out of 10 and 24.5 for 8 out of 10. So I can't remember what people had an issue with this episode. I think it's one I'm going to have to revisit. I can't remember what the big issue was with this episode, but it stands clear from the rest of this season as having major issues with it. But now we can move over to here and compare my rankings to the IMDb rankings. And as you can see, we only have 8 that fall in the exact same spot, which, as you can see, or should tell, might I say, are the ones that are highlighted in green. So episode 6 is first in the IMDb, episode 13 is number 2, and as you can see, episode 19 is number 23, and then some other ones in between. But the rankings are similar for the most part around the board, just maybe missing by one spot here or there, outside of one option that moves quite a bit, and you might be able to already tell what it is, and that is episode 18, aka Versus Zoom, the thing I brought up before, which was 16th on my list, but is 22nd overall for season 2 based on the rankings that IMDb gives, which to me is crazy, as that was the episode with the, you can't look up the darkness scene from memory. So that, and I think this might even be the episode where maybe Barry gives his speed to Zoom to save Wally. So that surprised me. It was the second lowest rated on IMDb for the season. Maybe that was why people were like, oh, we don't want Barry giving up his speed. I'm not too sure, but I remember that episode being pretty damn good. So I was very, very surprised to see it in second last spot overall on IMDb. Now, one thing to mention as a bit of like a bonus information fun fact is that 3 of these episodes from season 2 enter the all-time top 10 rankings for the Flash series. Those 3 episodes being episode 6, episode 13, and episode 23, which based off my rankings were in the top 3. For some reason, I don't know how, but it ends up in the top 3 for IMDb. Like, they actually label it a top ranking, but episode 14 based off the IMDb rankings sits between episode 13 and 23, as you can see on the right there. So I don't know if they just don't like episode 14 and gave it the middle finger and gave, no, we'll just give it to episode 23. I'm not too sure. IMDb is weird, I guess. I'm not too sure. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. That's all to go over in today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, it'd be awesome. You could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts on this. Are there any other surprises outside of Versus Zoom and maybe even like the runaway dinosaur? I'm just sort of surprised it's not in the top 5, to be completely honest. But yeah, if you have any other thoughts, let me know in the comment section down below. And let me know your top 3, maybe top 5, maybe not top 10. Maybe rank all of them. Let me know in the comment section down below. Always curious to read what you guys are thinking. And yep, stay tuned for the next video in this series and a video overall on my channel. If you enjoyed it, it would be awesome if you drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.